Alrighty, this is a demo of how set consent and default consent settings work in the Adobe Experience Platform Web SDK, specifically through launch. The concepts would sort of work if you're writing this on your own, but just for easy use and demonstration purposes, I'm going to assume that you're going to be using launch because that's probably what most people are going to do. So if I look at just this, my property here, this is just the blog homepage. I have the Web SDK loaded, and I have, let's see, I think I have just a page view. Oh, actually, let's accept this, and we'll see this page view fire. Spoilers. So, okay, I have a page view that just fires. So if I look in this XDM, we'll see that my event type is page view. And I'll try and bring the mouse where I'm showing stuff. I have a lot of things to show, and I don't have a whole lot of real estate on a single screen. So, okay. So let's walk through this here. Let me clear these cookies and bring up my fake cookie consent tool up here. So let's just imagine I'm a net new visitor on this site, and I haven't consented to cookies yet. So if I look at my launch instance, let's bring this up over here so we can see it a little better. I haven't consented to cookies yet, so there's not going to be any network requests that happen on the experience platform. I don't know why this keeps, there we go. Okay, so there's no, my page view is not firing. And if I look at my configuration settings, we can see that my default consent is set to pending. This basically means that the consent status is forthcoming, but don't send any data to my data stream until you are given explicit permission to. So that comes from the set consent setting. So if I look at my extension configuration, I go in here, the default consent is actually going to be a data element. So this is going to be a data element called consent status, and consent status is based on a cookie called, I don't know, consent cookie, something like that. But it's basically looking for the cookie that this modal is going to set. And because that doesn't exist yet, it's undefined. It's going to be pending otherwise. So if we look at this data element here, so consent status looks at a cookie called cookie consent, which must be set to accepted or rejected, and then it'll be the strings in or out. And the default value, so if this cookie is undefined, is going to be pending. So right now, just new visitor, that cookie is undefined, so the default consent status is pending. Once I hit accept, there's going to be a separate role that fires called set consent. And when that happens, this set consent action is going to fire. So that'll say, that'll set me to either in if I accept, or out if I reject. If I say I'm in, then any queued events, so i.e. my page view event that fired but wasn't able to actually send its network requests due to my consent status, once the consent status is updated and set to in, that will fire. So we should be able to see that happen here. So once I hit accept here, the cookie is going to set, and then we're going to see two actions over here. There's going to be a set consent network call that will have my consent status in it, and then that queued page view event will fire. So if I hit accept here is my consent status getting set, and then here's that queued page view event, which the rule for it fired, but the actual sending of the data was queued until the consent status was known. So if I scroll down and just look at let's look at some requests here. So this is the set consent action firing and saying that, I've consented in. There's different types of consent. This is just the very generic in or out type one. But you can set a lot of different permissions and write to profiles and stuff with the more advanced consent configuration settings. So let's see. This is the actual set consent rule firing. This is the setting of my consent cookie. So none of this will need to happen again if I'm a repeat visitor and I already have a consent cookie. And where is one of these is going to be the actual page view event. Maybe I think it's this one. Yeah. So after all the consent stuff happened, here's this queued event. So if I reset, let's just reset everything. And we'll reset all that. And I actually don't think I'll need any, well, maybe I will need a console request here. Okay, so we'll clear this out, and now I'm going to reject cookies, and we'll see that the consent status will still get sent, but the event won't. So now I'm basically a new user again, and I refresh, and I'll see, consent status pending. You'll get this message: user consent preferences not found. We're using pending, and the commands will be delayed. Delayed meaning they'll be queued, but if they're ultimately not allowed, they'll just be thrown away. So when I hit reject here, there's my consent status request going out. So it's just getting set to out, and the queued event that would have been sent had I consented in nothing will happen to it. So there's my consent rule firing, and then all the cookies getting set, and then nothing else happened. So this is just like generally how you can use consent statuses to control the flow of data to your data streams. So that's sending analytics, sending stuff to target, all sorts of stuff like that. When you use a cookie to control this stuff, you can reset that. When someone opts out, they can also opt in. I don't have a mechanism to do that. Maybe if this is all just like a fake cookie consent manager that I have set up. So maybe if I don't know if this consent rule will fire if I delete this. Okay, we'll just hit accept, and then I'll probably see another consent rule again. So what happened was my page loaded, my consent was out, the page view event didn't fire, then I changed it to in. So now if I refresh this, we should just see like a regular page view event here because I'm consented in. Yep, so there's my page view. I don't need another consent event because I already have the consent cookie. So if I open this up, so there's my actual, from my cookie consent manager value, and then here's the general value of being in. So it might load with the default consent will still be pending, but it won't. I'm sorry, the default consent won't be pending because it'll be reading from value, which will be this, and then I also have the general consented in. So events will just be sent without the needing to set consents. Okay, so that was just a generic overview of how set consent, default consent work with a cookie consent manager, and you can make it much more tailored from here, but this is just a general overview. Yep, thanks.